So you can all chant along with me. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, am I audible? Yeah. So let us chant the Gita Dhyanam first and the last. So maybe we can chant the entire Gita Dhyanam also. So if you have keep the shlokas in front of you and chant along with me. I'll chant it slowly. Okay. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitaamritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayini Ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Mrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Kavaha Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Martanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Vela Kula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः So please turn on your video feeds. Krishna, Dr. Ramesh, Sundari, Venkatraman, etc. So I will unmute a couple of you. Tell me if you're so Deepa, Anil, and Shiva. Unmuted three of you.
Yes, good.
So we completed the study of Gita Dhyanam, Dhyana Shlokaha, the meditative verses that so that praise Bhagavad Gita and all the main characters involved with the Bhagavad Gita. So now we have to understand the context of the Bhagavad Gita. So many of us have heard Mahabharata and Ramayana from our young days. Some of us may have forgotten partially, and there might be a few who may not be that familiar with it, with the story of Mahabharata. So it is worth reviewing that story a little bit. So Mahabharata is well known as the story of Pandavas and Kauravas. Pandavas means the children of the king called Pandu. And Kauravas are the descendant of the Kuru Vamsha, Kuru clan. And popularly referring to the sons of Dhritarashtra, or children of Dhritarashtra, who is the brother of Pandu. Pandu and Dhritarashtra are brothers. And so here, this story is presented in the Mahabharata and by Vyasa. So Vyasa takes all the key elements, all the facts he knows about the Mahabharata, about the story of the clan, the Vamsha of Dasharatha, Dhritarashtra and Pandu. And then Vyasa presents it in a big canvas. So it is not a book on history, even though all these places, the Kuru is a kingdom that was there in India. So if you look at India like this, India map, the Kuru Desha, Pradesha was right. New Delhi, Haryana, that area, North, Punjab, southern part of Jammu and Kashmir, that area was Kuru. So like this, all these places are all, Videha, from where Sita is, then Panchala, Draupadi is from Panchala Desha. It's all there. It's all in that area. Anga, all these parts were part of India those days. So this Dhritarashtra and Pandu are the sons of Vichitra Virya. Then Dhritarashtra being born blind, then the time has come and Dharma Shastra was checked and the elders were consulted, the rishis were consulted. No, Dhritarashtra cannot rule the kingdom because he is blind. A king cannot afford to be blind. That's the idea. So Pandu became the king and he ruled the kingdom very well. And he did a Digvijaya. Digvijaya means an attempt to, when somebody comes, it takes a while for the people to know that person, him, he or she. And then, of course, there was those days expansion of the kingdom. And so that Digvijaya was done. And all that was going on. And one fine day, he went to the forest with his wives. He had two wives, Madri and Kunti. And he happened to hit or strike two deer that were playing with each other and then killed the deer. And that deer was really a rishi called Kindama. And so he got cursed at that time, saying that, when you unite with your wife, you will die. Like that, he got a curse. So Pandu decided to live a life of asceticism, life of contemplation and study. And and he wanted children also. And so then this Kunti had this blessing. She was blessed by Durvasa. She served Durvasa some time and she got blessed, and that she could have children at any time by invoking those mantras and thinking of any devata. And that devata will give you a child. So this is how Karna was born. She wanted to test this mantra. And so she thought of Surya Devata, and Karna was born as the son of Surya Devata. That story you know. Then likewise, Yamadharma Raja, she thought of right now, requested by Pandu, and Yudhishthira was born. And so that's why Yudhishthira is called Dharma Raja or Dharma Putra. All these words are there. And very interesting that for Yama, we use the word Dharma. Of all people, Yama, who we pray to Yama and then we tell him, please don't come to my house. Stay away from me for a little longer. That's what we say. We're all smart people. We worship Yama also. So some of us who do this Sandhya Vandanam, in the Sandhya Vandanam, there is a mantra. So we face south because, the direction of death, and so we call him, hey Yama, Yamaya Dharma Rajaya, like that we say. And then we say, make me as dharmic as you. And we don't say it in so many words, but we also seek his blessings so that he will give us a full life. So that's, and because this death, the job of keeping track of everybody's lives, and then even Yama doesn't decide who dies when. It's all based on karma. And so that law, that niyama is there. That niyama is called dharma. And so I suppose that is how Yama got the name of dharma. So Yudhishthira born of Yama, and Arjuna born of Indra, and Sahadeva and Nakula born of Ashwini Kumara. So they are the celestial physicians, doctors, Vaidyas. And so now this Pandavas are born, and then Pandu, during a moment of weakness, he makes a mistake, and then he dies, and Madri says, I am the cause of his death. And so she also gives up her life. So now Bhishma gets all the children, including Kunti, back to Hastinapura, and where all the other Kaurava children are also growing up. And so these Pandavas are now being trained, being taught. So they are taught the Vedas, and being Kshatriyas, they are also taught archery and governance and things like that. So that is where this Arjuna was beginning to be seen as one of the greatest archers of those time, greatest warriors. And it was taught by Drona. Drona was the teacher. And then Arjuna became versatile. He knew he learned not just using weapons, but also the strategy of war and all these vyuhas and things like that. He became very good at that. And not only that, along the way, he learned, in India, this culture is there that we teach our children some arts, music, dance, drama, ityadi. We teach them something. That is a way to get immersed in our culture, beautiful way. It's both religious and it's both very challenging, and it's good for the mind, very entertaining sometimes, whatever. So Arjuna, he's a dancer, and he also knew music. All that will come handy to Arjuna another time. And Nakula, of course, also good in archery. Sahadeva was known to be an astrologer, so he could foresee things, and he advised people based on their astrological past and present, predicting the future. So there, at one time in the future, when the war was declared, Yudhishthira approached Sahadeva for advice. When should I start this? When should I enter the battlefield? When should I blow the conch so that I can be successful? And Sahadeva gave him advice. And Duryodhana asked him the same question. And Sahadeva gives Duryodhana the proper advice. If you do this, then victory will be on your side. And then the story goes that Duryodhana could not start at that time. But this event is there in our mind as something that shows Sahadeva as a very dharmic person committed to dharma, extraordinary. So this is where dharma, people ask what is dharma and all. So dharma, they say speak the truth and all that. So how far you can go speaking the truth? So that is, so through stories like Harishchandra's stories, we come to know about what dharma is. Now, So the graduation ceremony is there, and then they grew up, and now it was time for the coronation, and Pandavas became the rulers of Hastinapura, and they ruled very well. And already growing up, Duryodhana was jealous of Pandavas, and now they were respected by the praja, by the people, and that made Duryodhana even more jealous. So, constantly scheming for the throne, Duryodhana. So at one time, Dhritarashtra sent the Pandavas to oversee a particular function, Utsava, and to this place called Varna, I think it's called Varnavata. Varnavata. So that is where then Duryodhana schemed with Shakuni, etc., and built this house of inflammable material. And Varnavata is today that place is Barnava. So a few kilometers from Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. So some close by there. It's called Barnava. I think you may want to check that out. So then, of course, the story goes that Vidura knew all these things, and so he helped the Pandavas escape Varnavata. And then they were incognito for a while. Then there was a Swayamvara where they married Draupadi. And then they come back to Hastinapura. So during that time, they were incognito. And then when they came back, then it was decided that the kingdom be split equally between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And then the Pandavas were given the most barren lands, and where there is no tree grows. And so they were given 50%, Khandava Prastha. So then, of course, Pandavas took that, and they brought the best architects. They took Krishna's advice, and I think Indra must have been consulted, because their capital was called Indraprastha, and became prosperous. They also did Digvijaya, and then it was now accepted that the Pandavas were the just rulers of the kingdom at that time. And Vyasa had told Yudhishthira to do a Rajasuya Yajna also. And Rajasuya means you have to do Dhanam. And we hear that Duryodhana was the what do you call it? The manager of this treasury at that time. I don't know how it happened. But of course, Duryodhana gave very well, because when it came to other people's money, so he was a good giver. So that was Duryodhana's contribution to this Rajasuya. And this went on like this. And then the time came where this Duryodhana schemed further, and he invited the Pandavas for a game of dice. And so here, Yudhishthira had a weakness for this game, and so he agreed. Not only that, a Kshatriya cannot refuse a challenge, an invitation for games or competitions like that. So of course he accepted, but he also had a weakness for it. So that is what will pull him down later. And Shakuni said he will play on behalf of Duryodhana. And little did Yudhishthira know that all the dice would be loaded loaded with mantras, and so never in favor of Yudhishthira. So because of this addiction, and Yudhishthira constantly thought, I'm going to win the next time. The next throw, I will make it. And I will have 6 in the next throw, 12 in the next throw. Like this idea, this thinking is there. So he lost his kingdom. He lost his palace, and he lost his crown. He lost his brothers. Imagine squandering away brothers. And he gave up himself, and he gave up Draupadi also. That is how the story goes. And so what we learn from this is this idea of gambling. Gambling is addictive. It doesn't matter whether it is dice or whether it is cards or whether it is a game somewhere else that you play. Any game can be converted into a means to gamble. So gambling is addictive. And we see that this, Draupadi Vastraharan is there. And Draupadi cries out. Not a single person is able to help her. What a situation it is. Just begs for answers. What happened to this Bhishma and Drona and all these people who talk about dharma? What happened? Where are these kings? Where are these great people? We say they are great. What about Yudhishthira? These people, the husband doesn't do anything. And this is a very shocking event, a tragic event in Mahabharata. And they're all, Yudhishthira is helpless because he has surrendered himself. He is now a slave of Duryodhana. So he can't do a thing. Bhima, who normally just pounces on people, he cannot withstand all this stuff. And before things get too big, he just breaks the people's necks. And how come Bhima is not able to do? Well, they're also committed to Yudhishthira's dharma. And they're also sold away, so to speak. So they couldn't do anything. And nobody else could do. And so finally Krishna comes to her rescue and she calls out. So we hear that, we understand that this Sharanagati to the all Sarvajnaha, all-knowing Krishna is an important attitude in our lives. So important that bhakti is there. So bhakti will save us like that. That story comes out of this particular event. And of course, ahankara. Duryodhana, the way he behaved, the way Dushasana behaved, you can see ahankara can take over us anytime. Anytime. So that is why this Dakshinamurti. So there is a particular form of Shiva called Dakshinamurti. And where Shiva is apparently stepping on a small baby, looks like a baby. At least a form looks small, but Rakshasa with a snake in his hand. That baby has a snake in the hand. Not a baby, but has a mustache and all that. So can't be a baby, but appears small. So that symbolizes that you have to take care of your ahankara. Any day this ahankara can come out of the blue, like the snake just appears out of nowhere, slithers and appears. And so take care of that ahankara. So those messages, including the fact that Yudhishthira, being the most dharmic person of those times, even he goes through tough times. Even he becomes a victim of this gambling and things like that. And we have to say, even he. So that shows the power of karma is there. And nobody can stop that power. So then now the story goes, and now Pandavas are nobody. They are nobody. They are now under the command of Duryodhana. And then big vows are made. Bhima says, this is it. Hey Duryodhana, hey Dushasana, I'm going to get you. When the war comes, it's going to come, and I'm going to get you both. And Arjuna says, Karna, I will finish you. And Sahadeva says, looks at Shakuni and says, you will be my fodder. And like this, vows are made, big vows. Nakula says, I think I will kill Shakuni's son. Must have been there somewhere nearby. So these big vows are made. And in this time, Dhritarashtra loses his cool. The father of Duryodhana, loses his cool and says, oh, let's forgive and forget all this. Let's act as though nothing happened. And this blind king, poor fellow, full of conflict and causing so much destruction. So important for the leader to be clear about dharma. And forgive and forget, he says. And of course, Duryodhana says, this old blind man, what does he know? He knows nothing. And no, we are not, there's no such thing, no forgiving, no forgetting and all that. Things will be as they are. And so there was a proposal that we will have one more game. And if Yudhishthira wins this game, he can get everything back. Otherwise, they have to go to the forest for 12 years. This 12 seems to be a magic number. I think it's the Jupiter cycle, 12 is there. And going to the forest, don't think it's some kind of a picnic. These days people take a car and go to all these sanctuaries and this and that. They also go to the forest, No, everybody wants to go to the forest. But those days they will never say, I want to go to the forest, because it is a recipe for death. Because there are animals, wild animals, tigers and lions were roaming around. It is capital punishment. Going to the forest means capital punishment. Those days. So here we have to struggle hard to preserve all these forests. So then this proposal was made, and Duryodhana says, well, I can agree to this proposal provided he puts an amendment. We put amendments to our constitution all the time. Amendment is what? One more year. After they finish 12 years, they should live incognito, Ajnatavasa, for one more year. And then they can come back. So knowing full well, Duryodhana knows he's got spies all over. And so he is pretty sure this recipe will keep the Pandavas away from this kingdom and away from him forever, for life. And so this is what they agreed to. And the Pandavas go live their life there. Then the 13th year comes and they go to the Virat Desha. And there this Yudhishthira is a companion to the king. And Arjuna becomes the dancer, the teacher of dance and music to all the women of Virat Desha. And Arjuna got a curse from Urvasi some time ago. And so he was cursed to, lose his masculinity for a year. And then, he was cursed. And then I think Indra, somebody intervenes and then said, okay, you will lose the masculinity for 1 year. You'll become effeminate. And you can choose when you want that to be. So Arjuna uses that here very well. And so that, so he lives a life that way. and Bhima is the royal cook, etc. That's how the story goes. And so then Duryodhana comes to know, and then he arranges some kind of a skirmish, some kind of a fight somewhere, so that it attracts the attention of the king and he can create a little war there, so that the Pandavas will be forced to come out. So that was done, and of course Pandavas came to the aid of Virat Maharaj, and then a fight ensued, and Duryodhana was celebrating, but he had to be reminded that according to the lunar calendar, the time was over, the time was up, the 13th year was just over, and so they had finished the Ajnatavasa. Much to Duryodhana's disappointment. So now Pandavas return, come back to Hastinapura. And Duryodhana has been ruling for 13 years. Absolute power. Power can corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So now Yudhishthira has to become king, and Duryodhana is in no mood for all this kind of stuff. And so Krishna is sent to negotiate with the Kauravas, Dhartarashtras, and it doesn't work. All the eloquence that Krishna has, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim. Like this we chanted, Mukam karoti vachalam. And all that doesn't work on Duryodhana. Doesn't work. And Duryodhana is very clear. we can't honor Pandavas. Pandavas have to. He in fact says, hey, these people they're all fighters, they're princes. Let them fight. Let them come to Kurukshetra and fight. That was what Duryodhana responded to. All the negotiation and everything, nothing worked. And they can go to the forest, or they can go to forest if they don't want to fight, and I won't disturb them. They can live peacefully in the forest. This is what he says. And still further, Krishna goes and this famous give me a state with 5 districts. Give them a district with 5 villages, and a village with 5 houses, even a house with 5 rooms. This kind of discussion happened. And what kind of a negotiation is this? Settling for a house. And Duryodhana was very clear, I won't even give you a small needle point also of land, I can't give you. And like this it goes. So that is why we chant these shlokas. At the end we have this Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayanta. Swasti Prajabhyah. Praja, people. May there be Swasti. May there be prosperity for all people. And Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Paripalayantam. Right? So Paripalayantam. May the Mahim Mahishaha, may the rulers, may the presidents, may the prime ministers, whatever. Today we don't say king, we say president or prime minister. May they rule the countries, lands, kingdoms. Nyayena Margena. Let them follow the law. Let there be justice. Let justice prevail. So justice has to come. If the leader is not just, then there's going to be destruction. And also there are, this in terms of negotiating also, there's Sama Dana Bheda Danda. This is very popular in our Indian psyche. And there is also a song Carnatic music. Tyagaraja composed a song. So Sarasa Samadana Bheda Danda Chatura. Like that, there is a song. So this upaya, this technique of Sama, Dana, Bheda, Danda. Sama means negotiate, reconcile. Find a way to reconcile with each other. Then Sama, Dana. Dana means, okay, decide what you want to let go and come to some kind of a conclusion. Otherwise, Bheda. Bheda means, okay, be a little assertive. And if they have to issue threats, etc., it may be issued so that the teams, the opposite sides, the warring factions can come to an agreement. If that doesn't work, then Danda. Danda. Danda means punishment. Danda means war. So all those techniques are being employed, have been employed. Here in Mahabharata, that song, Sarasa Samadana Bheda, addressing, Tyagaraja addresses Rama. Because Rama is his Ishtadevata. So he says, hey Rama, this is a Telugu. This is a Telugu Kriti. Say, hey Rama, so you are the expert in this methodology of Sarasa Samadana Bheda Danda. And this Ravana doesn't understand what's coming at him. And he thinks it is taken you for granted. So like that song says. So here also, Samadana Bheda Danda, the time for Danda has come. Danda. And war is declared. So now people have to take sides. Because a lot of kingdoms are there, a lot of kings are there, friends are there, some of them are friends. And Duryodhana, he has made sure even the great people like Bhishma and Drona and Kripa are now fighting for Duryodhana, even though they are dharmic people. And so what to talk of all these kings? So bribes were issued, threats were issued. And like this, Duryodhana, just lot of people, majority of the kings just supported Duryodhana. And whereas Pandavas, and they didn't, they had a few kings, just a few kings supported Pandavas. In any society, there are always dharmic people given to dharma. And so they came to the aid of Yudhishthira. Duryodhana's side, all this buying and selling happened like it happens here in our party system. They say multi-party system. So buying and selling happened, and Duryodhana had a mighty army now with so much support. And war also, when it is declared, there are rules. At least I don't know how wars are fought these days. It's just, everything seems to be sudden, and with those days, rules were there because all wars were fought in the open. There is no secret war. There is no preemptive strike those days in general. So you don't attack an unarmed soldier. And if you're on a chariot, you can attack a person only who is also on a chariot. So like this, rules are there. It begins at this time. By the end of the day, it should stop. And sunset, all these rules were there. So here, war is declared openly. So no secret. And so as the Bhagavad Gita opens, everybody is assembled in this battlefield, Kurukshetra. And Bhishma on the side of the Duryodhanas. Bhishma was the commander-in-chief of this army, the Kaurava army. Drona, Bhishma was on the side of Duryodhana, no doubt. Drona also on the side of Duryodhana, even though his heart was with the Pandavas. Because pampered, Drona was pampered by Bhishma. And also, Drona's son is there, Ashwathama. Ashwathama, a great friend of Duryodhana. And Drona loves his son Ashwathama. A great affection, more than affection, very fond of the son. That also pushed him to be on the side of Duryodhana. And Kripa, of course, Kripacharya also obliged to serve Duryodhana. And Karna is there. Karna was Duryodhana's answer to Arjuna. And Duryodhana knew of Arjuna and knew that some great archer is needed, great warrior is needed, and that was Karna. And and of course, Karna was pampered also, given the Anga Desha to rule Anga. So I looked up, see, if you look up India map from those days, from thousands of years ago, so you will find Anga in the area of, Assam, Bihar, those areas, Bangladesh, that is Anga Desha. That's where Karna was ruling from. So the entire army is there, and the battalions, elephants, elephant mounted, camel mounted, all kinds of weapons, mace, spear, and those days these kinds of weapons were there. Bow and arrow, of course, these arrows, not ordinary arrows. And so in modern warfare, you hear some terms you hear, Kalashnikov rifles and, mortar, whatever, rocket launchers. And during this Iraq war, I remember, we learnt of Scud missiles and Patriot missiles. I don't know how many of you remember these things. So we heard all this, right? So they also had missiles, Pandavas and the Kauravas. And so all these arrows, which are powered by mantras, and one arrow emitting fire, Vayu Astra, another arrow emitting water, Varuna Astra, which will go and neutralize the Agni Astra, Agneya Astra. So we saw, as children, we used to see all these movies, and two arrows will come, and then they will get neutralized. How many hours we have watched this? And then Karna will send an arrow, Astra, and then Arjuna will send another one, and then neutralized. This goes on and on. How many of you remember? I don't know, but definitely some of these days, I don't know if they make those kinds of movies. I really doubt it, based on what I see on TV. So this is the nature of the Astras there, mantra-powered missiles. And Arjuna was ready. Arjuna was very ready. Okay. And because he's been wanting to give it back, even as children. They were, Bhima, Arjuna, everybody was waiting. Those times, Kunti stopped them. Kunti said, no, you cannot fight with your brothers like this. They're all your brothers, don't you know? So Arjuna couldn't do anything to them then, despite all the humiliation. And then later on, because of their love for Yudhishthira and Yudhishthira's commitment to Dharma, they couldn't do anything. And now, since Draupadi, there was a last straw, as they say, the straw that broke the camel's back. And Arjuna is ready. Ready. For a Kshatriya, there is nothing bigger than a war, than a fight. And all the weapons were all powered, and they say, keeping the powder dry. Have you heard that? Some of you may have heard that phrase. Keeping the powder dry means ready for a war. It's a great moment for all the Pandavas. And so now Devatas are all watching. It is said, Arjuna, greatest warrior of all time, is about to enter the battlefield, just entered, and all Devatas watching, and all the balcony seats are all occupied, and the standing room only, like they say, and Krishna, who is the charioteer? Krishna. And what? Krishna is going to take Arjuna? Krishna is not fighting? All these other avatars, Rama and all, very interesting. Rama was the warrior. But here Krishna has decided not to take anybody's side, and very interesting. So added bonus for all these devatas. And so the war is going to begin. And and so there is, that's how the story goes. And then, of course, Arjuna is seated there in the chariot and tells Krishna to take me to a vantage point, Ratham Sthapaya Mechyuta, from where I can see all these people who are all there, who are going to fight with me, who have come to the battlefield. Because don't know who is who. Some great kings are there, and if they are not on my side, they must be on are they fighting with the Pandavas or what? I mean, Kauravas or what? So all this he has to see. So that is when he gets a survey. And Arjuna is not going to fight with some ordinary people. He needs to take on the biggest kings and chieftains of those times. And Karna and Bhishma being some. So he's come ready to fight. So this is the context of the Bhagavad Gita. And we have to look at it a little more, and we have to talk about dharma and things like that. And then that will lead to the sorrow of Arjuna. So first chapter, in fact, is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The topic of the Arjuna's sadness. So how come Arjuna becomes sad? And so this idea of dharma has to be properly unfolded. Values have to be talked about a little bit. So we will do that in the next class. So you can all join me. The last series of mantras, shlokas we chanted. Swasti Prajabhyah. Swasti Prajabhyah.
Swasti Prajabhyah.
Paripalayantam.
Paripalayantam.
Nyayena Margena.
Nyayena Margena.
Mahim Mahishaha.
Mahim Mahishaha.
Go Brahmanebhyah.
Go Brahmanebhyah.
Shubhamastu Nityam.
Shubhamastu Nityam.
Loka Samastaha.
Loka Samastaha.
Sukhino Bhavantu.
Sukhino Bhavantu.
Kale Varshatu Parjanyah.
Kale Varshantu Parjantaha.
Kale Varshatu.
Kale Varshadu
Parjanyah.
Parjanyaha.
Prithvi.
Prithvi.
Sasya Shalini.
Sasya Shalini.
Deshoyam.
Deshoyam.
Kshobha Rahitaha.
Kshobha Rahitaha.
Brahmana Santu.
Brahmana Santu.
Nirbhayaha.
Nirbhayaha.
Sarve Bhavantu.
Sarve Bhavantu.
Sukhinaha.
Sukhinaha.
Sarve Santu.
Sarve Santu.
Niramayaha.
Niramayaha.
Sarve Bhadrani.
Sarve Bhadrani.
Pashyantu.
Pashyantu.
Ma Kaschit.
Ma Kaschit.
दुःखभाक्
दुःखभाक्
भवेत्
भवेत्
असतो मा
असतो मा
सद्गमय
तद्गमय
तमसो मा
तमसो मा
ज्योतिर्गमय
ज्योतिर्गमय
मृत्योर्मा
मृत्योर्मा
अमृतंगमय
अमृतंगमय
ॐ पूर्णमदः
ॐ पूर्णमदः
पूर्णमिदं
पूर्णमिदं
पूर्णात्
पूर्णाद्
पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णस्य
पूर्णस्य
पूर्णम्
पूर्णम्
आदाय
आदाय
पूर्णम्
पूर्णम्
एव
एव
अवशिष्यते
अवशिष्यते
ॐ शान्तिः
ॐ शान्तिः
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 हरिः ॐ
हरिः ओम्
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
हरिः ॐ
हरिः ओम्